The area around Las Vegas is a spectacular place for nature lovers. There are beautiful views at Red Rock Canyon, boating and swimming options at Lake Mead, hot springs and waterfalls down by the Colorado River, and even skiing up at Mount Charleston. Out here, getting into nature is less of an activity and more of a way of life. But there's one way to see the desert that really can't be matched: off-roading. There are a few ways to go off-roading in the desert areas around Vegas. One of the most popular, of course, is to simply live in the area and have your own off-roading vehicle. But obviously that's easier said than done, and you're probably here on vacation. So if you don't have a spare ATV lying around, you'll want to find a company that specializes in off-road rentals, or go on an off-roading tour. Not every off-road experience is built the same. You'll need to decide two things up front: where you want to go and what kind of vehicle you want. Out in Death Valley National Park, there's a company called Farabee Jeep Rentals that will let you rent their Jeeps for the day. You can spend some of your time visiting Death Valley's most impressive and remote locales, like Titus Canyon and Leadfield Ghost Town. Plus, you can take the Jeep directly through some of Death Valley's impressive and narrow slot canyons to get a feel for this wild and rocky landscape. Death Valley is an exceptional place for this sort of activity. There are giant mountains, narrow canyons, sweeping sand dunes, and interesting craters. Couple this with the area's abundance of towns, both active towns and ghost towns alike, and you'll find that there's plenty to see and do out here. The off-roading is top-notch, and the park itself is extraordinary either way. If you aren't looking at visiting Death Valley, you have plenty of other options closer to town. Most companies in the immediate Vegas area will offer you tours on ATVs or UTVs, which don't offer as much of a smooth ride as Jeeps do. However, the locations these companies visit still serve up top-notch views. Awesome Adventures, yeah, that's the name of the company. Anyway, they take you down through El Dorado Canyon and the Chapatacup Mine area. The gold and silver mine here was active from the time of the Civil War through the end of World War II and was the most productive gold and silver mine in all of southern Nevada. Today, the canyon and mine, no longer active except for tours, well, they're lined with old buildings and equipment, and the ATV tour here will allow you to travel around a gravel course that shows you the canyon and the mining area. You also get a walking tour of the gold mine, which is arguably the better part of the tour. Want to stay close to the city? Try off-roading north of the Strip. Las Vegas Elite Off-Road is another company that offers UTV tours. They're located closer to the Vegas Speedway in the desert north of the city. This area is at the base of several mountains, with plenty of gray dust and sand that you can kick up as you chase along after their guides. They'll take you to remote dunes, smaller canyons, and along old washes. And though there are more interesting areas to explore off-road, this is a great spot to rip on the throttle. Looking for the best scenery? You'll want to go to Valley of Fire, my favorite off-roading spot. If you're looking for the most scenic location, there are 3 companies that operate up near Valley of Fire. Adrenaline ATV Tours and Sun Buggy Fun Rentals provide guided tours of the Overton area, which is just outside Valley of Fire. Another company called Ultimate Desert Adventures does UTV rentals near Valley of Fire. Now, the big difference between them and the other companies is that Ultimate Desert Adventure doesn't do guided tours. They rent you the UTV and cut you loose for a few hours, and it is glorious. This is my favorite by far. Valley of Fire is an exceptional location, and I find myself recommending it to just about everyone that goes to the Vegas area. Even if you don't visit it in an off-road vehicle, you'll be able to spend plenty of time hiking around the coolest scenery. The sandstone out here is much redder than in many other parts of the Mojave Desert. And when the sun hits it just right, it will glow gold and appear to be on fire, hence the name. The entire valley is filled with these sorts of rock structures, too, so there's no shortage of scenery. Now, you should know that you won't actually be off-roading in Valley of Fire State Park. You'll be just outside the park boundaries, on the Logandale Trail System. However, the border area that you'll take features some of the same formations as those found inside the park, making this by far one of the most memorable off-roading experiences that I've personally ever done. In fact, I've found that there's only one downside to off-roading near Valley of Fire. The views are so jaw-droppingly gorgeous that it's kind of tough to keep the sand out of your teeth. You can really shred along some of the sand on this trail system as you're zigzagging from one scenic vista to the next, making this one of the best areas if you want an adrenaline rush, on top of being one of the prettiest places anywhere near Vegas. If you decide to forego the rentals and the tours, there's still plenty of off-roading opportunities in other areas, if you have a vehicle that can handle it. The greater Vegas area is covered with old washes and open desert that locals like to track along. In Red Rock Canyon, you can take Lovell Canyon Road to head into the more remote parts of the desert, as well as along some of the primitive camping areas. And out in Lake Mead, there are networks of backcountry roads that will take you down to the lakeshore, offering some of the most remote places that you can visit the water from. Closer to Mount Charleston are stretches of open desert that we've seen very few people off-roading in, but we recommend checking the maps to see if you can use those areas before starting up your engine. There are lots of ways you can see the best that Vegas has to offer, but if you're planning on seeing a bit more of nature on your trip, consider off-roading as a good way to get off the beaten path. And if you know any good off-roading spots near Vegas that we didn't mention, but you think we should, go ahead and drop a comment or reach out. Thanks for watching, folks, and have a great time on your trip to Vegas.